so unit 4, series. Okay, so series are actually a kind of sequences, right? So there are sequences that are made of sums of terms of other sequences, if that makes any sense. Okay, so let me write it here. Suppose we have sequence a sub n, right? A sub n from n equals 1 to infinity. Okay, so we can build with this sequence a new sequence. So let me write it like this: S1 is A1, S2 is A1 plus A2, S3 is A1 plus A2 plus A3, right? And so on and so forth. We can say S sub n is, and I'm going to write it using this notation for sums. And if you're not familiar with this yet, you can go to the appendix in the lecture notes, okay, and read about those. So this is a sub k from k equals 1 to n. Okay, so this is the general term of this new sequence. Okay, this sequence that is a sum. Okay. So we call this also the nth partial sum. Okay, we call them partial sums. Okay. Well, now suppose that this sequence has a limit. The limit when n goes to infinity of f and s sub n, and this is, we write it like this. We could write s. Okay, this is k equals 1 to infinity of a sub k. Okay. Well, this is what we call a series. Okay, so the series is the limit of a sum of terms of other sequences. Okay. So you can be asking yourselves, well, but then why do we study them separately? Because we just saw sequences in the last unit, and we know how to, compute limits and things like that about other sequences. Well, the thing is that these kind of sequences, where the general term is a sum, are very complicated in many terms, in many cases, and also they're very useful because they appear in many applications. Okay, they will appear a lot over and over and over, and so there are many specific techniques that have been developed to study the convergence of the series. So see if this is convergent to a real number, or if it's not convergent, or if it's divergent to infinity or minus infinity, just like any other sequence, because remember that this is a sequence. And also some techniques to compute the value of the limit, which is much harder than with other sequences that we had, okay? And that we can compute the limits before, right? So typically we call the series this kind of infinite sum in quotes, because infinite sums are not easy to think of, but it's the limit of a sequence that it's made of sums, if that makes any sense.